Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scarred Thumb Podcast. I'm David. Today we'll be talking about the crossover. It's happened for a long, long time, and we're starting off with the one I can remember the furthest back. It probably isn't in totality, but this is, as far as my memory goes, one of the first crossovers. You're like, what the heck? It was it was fun, but at the same time, I think it marked a trend that ultimately killed Soul Calibur. So we have Link here, fun to play. And we have, it's even more ridiculous, Master Yoda was the guy that showed up on the Xbox edition, because they had 3 editions. You had Nintendo, which would have Link, and then another edition would have Spawn. I think the Xbox had Master Yoda in one of its cases. Look at this cover. I think this is a real cover. I didn't take the time to research it properly, but I believe this is a cover. It doesn't seem like something someone would fake, but this is a legit cover. This is how you advertise your game. Ivy, the one of the main female faces of the franchise, going against Yoda. Yoda, the Star Wars character. That's just how you cultivate your brand with Soul Calibur. And they also had stuff like 2B, which is the Snoop Dogg of video games, just showing up in just every possible thing. I mean, of course, it's easy to see why. As you can, very lovely woman. People, very crowd favorite, having great assets. But there's other games that have done this, that have decided to just destroy any semblance of consistency or aesthetics in their brand. Notably, we have Modern Warfare, which has guest operators like Nicki Minaj. Who doesn't want to play Nicki Minaj while they're playing video games? So it's just rather than serious operators, like a serious war game, you have Nicki Minaj. You have Alucard. It's on the thumbnail here, just from an anime, Helsing. Just say, why not? Why not have this guy? I mean, he looks kind of creepy, kind of cool in a way. I don't know what it has to do with military operations, but he's here. Why not have Homelander too? I mean, The Boys is popular. It's a good IP. I guess this is it sort of does 2 things at once. You can advertise, both people's brands and IPs in one go. Well, hey, The Boys, that's a popular IP. Let's advertise The Boys and stir up some publicity and interest in our own IP at the same time. And really the absolute worst example is when you decide to put in freaking YouTubers or streamers as operators in your game, because that's what really everybody wants to see. They want to see Tim the Tatman. That at least this looks like a real person. I guess it is a real person, but this actually looks like someone that might be an operator, like an actual military guy, versus so I guess Homelander. But what the heck? Excuse me. Well, when you see an actual recognizable person that you know from streaming, what does that do to the seriousness of the world? Hey, good morning, Deborah. But of course, Call of Duty had given up the idea of actually having a kind of cool, consistent aesthetic when they decided to put Pride camo weapons in the game. So you have these ugly ass looking weapons, and you could have your Pride camo skids, which is always really important to have in your video game. That's about serious people killing each other on the field of combat. Who knows if this is going to hurt them in the long run? I don't think they care. And that is, I guess, one of the overarching things with a lot of these crossovers is it's like tailor made for the modern video game company because it really doesn't care about the long run. It's really about like boosting quarterly sales, getting a quick spike in revenue. Popular were like, hey, let's combine Overwatch and Cowboy Bebop together with some skins. That'd be cool. Why not? People like Cowboy Bebop or Godzilla in your Magic the Gathering. I'm like, look, I love Godzilla. It's cool. I think I might have some Godzilla Magic the Gathering cards. So I'm not immune to the crossover. It's very alluring when it's an IP, two IPs that you like together. You're like, ooh, double the fun, right? You have Smite and Magic the Gathering together, a card game and a video game. Crazy. I just smoosh them together, but this is what they do now. They get a little boost. You can advertise each other's IPs. Uh, they try to get different audiences. You could, I guess, the hope is, Magic the Gathering has an audience of nerdy guys. Smite would like. They also have an audience of nerdy guys that play a lot of video games. Why not try and get each other's audience to get some crossover here? It's targeted advertising that is really, I suppose, in a way, smart, because if that's the demographic you want, I think they share very much a similar audience. It's like younger guys with maybe disposable income and a free time. They could help each other out. 1 second. So, but unfortunately, I too have been affected by this terrible curse. This is from Monster Hunter. Screenshot on my phone. Imagine this. I'm in a park. I want to have fun. Oh yeah, walking around, enjoying nature. All of a sudden, as I'm playing my Monster Hunter now in the park, who shows up but Mr. Beast's ugly face in my video game? I'm trying to fight, mythical monsters. These dragons, these gigantic triceratop-looking guys called Diabloses. And here he is with that annoying-ass smile. Just there. Hey, guys, it's me, Mr. Beast. I have to put up with this. Like, how much does it remove the fantasy of the Monster Hunter game? Of course, it is set in the real world, but still, I don't want to see Mr. Beast. It doesn't make me feel good. I'm not like, cool, it's Mr. Beast. I'm like, ugh, it's Mr. Beast. Of course, I love it goes without saying, the timing of this is fantastic, right? As Mr. Beast's trans buddy, is facing a lot of accusations. And, is Mr. Beast going to be pulled into that? It's hard to see, but yeah, Mr. Beast. Great timing by Monster Hunter now. But yeah, here you go, Mr. Beast. He's here in your video game, the guy that you wanted to see. Mr. Beast. Of course, let's mention that there are, I think, franchises that do kind of immune to the curse of crossovers. In fact, they're just built around crossovers. Different Eye just jamming every IP it can together. And of course, probably the people that really made this thing a reality, that brought this curse into gaming and the nerd spaces, Fortnite, one of the main perpetrators here. But this Fortnite never really had an established aesthetic. It was always just, as far as I know, I haven't actually played Fortnite, so could be talking out of my ass. But it was Joey. Is Joey really the flagship here that everyone wanted to see? I know they've always done crossovers, or they've been doing crossovers for so long that no one really associates it with the actual Fortnite brand anymore, the actual Fortnite characters. It's just, oh, hey, look, it's Peter Griffin. Oh, look, it's Naruto. So I could have Peter Griffin fight Naruto, fight the guy from the employee from the company, Lethal Company here. Why not? It just whatever fever dream you want to is here. And there's also, of course, a great example from Nintendo Super Smash Brothers, which Ultimate especially combined a bunch of different IPs, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel as bad because Smash Brothers was always like, hey, let's just take all of our different franchises from Nintendo and combine them together. So the idea of adding something like, Ryu into the mix, which, was a Nintendo, a game on Nintendo, or let's say, let me try and find a different outside IP. You've got, where's Sonic at? Oh, there's Mega Man. Yeah, Mega Man here, hanging out. Obviously, got to start on a Nintendo console, so no one really cares too much. Where's Sonic? There's Sonic. The old rival of Nintendo. We're playing about crossovers, Baron. Get with it. Get with the program here. Sonic here was a character. Bayonetta, stuff that it started out as just Nintendo's exclusive IPs, and they kind of branched out. You have Solid Snake. Doesn't really fit the Nintendo look, but still a very popular edition. So something like Smash Brothers, which was already just a collection of different characters from different games, adding other characters from other games just didn't seem that far of a stretch. And I don't think it really hurts the brand. At least it's still video games. Like Cloud, again, kind of weird considering, I don't think Final Fantasy has ever been on a Nintendo system. Maybe that has changed since then, but of course, that was one of PlayStation's, flagship titles in the sort of PlayStation versus Nintendo versus, I guess that's when Xbox first got in. I don't think, do they have any Xbox character? I don't think so. I don't think they really got any, well, I guess unless you consider Minecraft. I don't know where Steve is hiding in this, but can you spot Steve, guys? Maybe he isn't in this yet. Maybe I got an older picture. But Steve, I guess, is kind of a Microsoft brand now, though it really didn't start as that. So I don't think everyone really thinks of it as a Microsoft IP. But the other really popular example that I think, well, I don't know if it's popular. It might be a little bit niche. But when I think of this is Mugen, where you can, have Goku fight Son Goku US version 1.3 fight Impure Evil Donald. We can have Goku fight Ronald McDonald. And that was a game that's, I think, actually has a sort of serious release. Some sort of Chinese company is trying to make Mugen a thing. But it's always like a fan game. Like, let's just make the most insane stuff we can and have them thrown together. But to sort of bring this to modern day, this was a reveal that happened at EVO. Let me show you. That was Lucy, is now from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which was an anime, not a video game. So they decided to add Lucy into the game. Guilty Gear Strive, which left people like, what the hell? It was like so far out of left field. People are kind of shocked because, one, it's, not a video game. I mean, Cyberpunk Edge Runners is a video game. And I guess Lucy might have been in the actual game now that I think about it. But really known for Edge Runners. Cyberpunk. I actually didn't look that up. Cyberpunk 76. I don't know. I'm not sure on that, but the idea of having a character from an anime, and this is like her version, her anime version, in a video game, just I don't know, rub people the wrong way. It just seems weird. Like why have this as a guest character? Why not have an actual like other fighting game character in it? And there's another kind of reminded people the example of say this was, let me bring this up here. This picture. Uh, Tekken 7 famously decided to put Negan from The Walking Dead into their video game. Like, what? How are these worlds even remotely related? I have no idea. Uh, no idea at all, but yet here they are. Negan. I've never watched Walking Dead. I haven't played Tekken 7, but just another like just crazy example of them just bringing IPs that have nothing to do with each other. Oh, Lucy was only alluded to Rebecca shotguns in the game. Okay. So not apparently like they might be some way tangentially in the world in some ways, but yeah, not not in the actual game itself. So why? Why put it in? And I do have to wonder what long-term impact this has on franchises, because it does help get, an initial boost to sales. Does, these crossovers can bring in other audiences into it and give them like a little like hit, a little jump. But at the end of the day, is it going to be something that hurts their brand in the long term? As people see, like, as hardcore fans, see this stuff more and more, whether it's, Mr. Beast showing up in your video game or having, Homelander show up in your video game. Does it turn off, fans that really enjoy the world and like it? I guess it can really depend on just how big of a deal they become. If it's not something that's just overall, like sometimes they'll have guest characters in video games, and like they'll run like gotcha games seem to do it a lot. Well, you'll have a collab event, but in excuse me, but in like two weeks it's gone, or like a week it's gone. And you'll never see it again. So it doesn't make a huge deal, but when like skins like this just constantly in the game and you constantly see it, this at what point just the world lose its aesthetic, its own aesthetic, and you're left with just like crazy skins like this that are just constantly in every game you see. And maybe it's not, maybe that's not a problem for a lot of players. But I do feel like in the end, you're losing what made your world. And if that doesn't stay strong, like, then eventually people just lose interest in it. Like something like Smash Brothers, their IP is always super strong. I don't think it'll ever be a problem. For Nintendo, they can have like guest characters, and their characters themselves remain recognizable and iconic. But you have to wonder for like brands that are lesser known or not quite as popular, is that something that's going to be a problem in the overall scheme of things? Like I mentioned, Soul Calibur, I believe, is dead as far as the franchise is concerned. Let's see, Soul Calibur releases. I believe the last one was 7. Let's see. Soul Calibur 6, the 7th installment. That was back in 2018, so it hasn't come back since October of 2018. So let's see, what's the math on that too? It's been over 6 years. Well, not quite 6 years. So that series is kind of fallen off. It's just constant guest characters. It's almost kind of became a thing for Soul Calibur to do. What did Kingdom Hearts actually have guest characters? What did they have in their stuff? Kingdom Hearts guest character. Oh, what they have? I mean, Kingdom Hearts has always been a mashup of Disney IPs, so it's not a. Again, that's kind of a world where they have their own sort of like Sora and Riku, those sort of characters, which are kind of Square Enix, in the same vein as Square Enix, but they also have the Nintendo or Disney IP, which is super iconic. I mean that was made from the ground up. That's always been part of their DNA. Which I mean, to the point I was making, like something like Fortnite or Super Smash Brothers, when it's actually made like that, I think it works well. But when it's not, when like you have a game like Call of Duty, which is supposed to be a serious shooter, and you have like streamers and anime characters in it, that I don't see what's going on, and I have to assume that this is super popular with a 13-year-old boy demographic, or like 13-year-old like kids think this is super awesome, or maybe like 25-year-old men too, like, oh damn, it's Alucard, it's Tim the Tatman, it's Homelander, whoa, that's awesome. And that's, they think like, hey, kids love this, they love it. Hey, they love Fortnite, right? Fortnite's got Naruto and Peter Griffin in it. Why not cash in on that too? We got to be part of it, and that's what they do. Let's move on from crossovers. So I'm hoping crossovers go away, because I'm kind of sick of seeing IPs just throw in other IPs willy nilly in really obtrusive ways. We're gonna move on. This was recent news. So Marvel Rivals is, a 5v5 hero shooter that stars Marvel characters, stuff like Spider-Man and Hulk and Iron Man and that kind of stuff. Well, they had their closed beta recently, and their closed beta peaked at 52,671 characters, or players, sorry. So 50K players, closed beta. So it's like invite only. I don't know, they must have invited a lot of people. But 52,000. Now, for comparison, Concord, open beta. Like, anyone can join it. Anyone can play it. On Steam, 2,388. So, 24, let's call it 2,400 players. Versus, which is a 5v5 shooter as well, if you weren't aware. Versus 52,000. Let's just call it 52,000 at their peak. And it's so bad at this point. I like how the first comment underneath this, you probably can't read it all, is Justin saying what kind of everyone is thinking. Does Sony just pull the plug on Concord? And it's become the slow-moving disaster that is Concord. It's kind of reaching its crescendo. It hasn't been released yet, but pretty much everyone seems to see that it is now, even the journalists, which Sony really keeps under wraps, gives them a lot of money for advertising. Even they're like, ooh, this isn't looking good. They can't even keep quiet about it. Like, I'm not going to say, there's some sense of like, I'm not going to say it. But Concord is in serious. It just looks like it's just going to fail spectacularly. They've put in a bunch of advertising, Sony is giving it its backing, its marketing. They're trying their best here, but man, this game has looked like another Suicide Squad level flop. And they're just talking about their beta. Thanks for everyone that took part in the beta. They're talking about how it's going to have distinct maps, progression rewards. They're released. I saw a Kotaku article, which I won't include because they have some stupid, if you don't turn off your ad blocker, we'll make the screen dark. So there's not going to be a battle pass. We won't have that mean sort of microtransactions that a lot of free-to-play games have. They're not gonna do that. $40 and you'll own the game. Very admirable, but it's not going to make up for the fact that the game looks terrible. And now I'm going to bring up Photoshop here. Let's just compare. Concord really is the biggest disaster in sort of character design. So this is Marvel Rivals. This is Magic, which I kind of know Marvel characters tangentially. I've never heard of Magic. And again, I'm not a big comic book nerd. We got Storm here, obviously feminine form, cleavage. Looks pretty hot, even though she has that dumbass hairstyle. Look, Magneto. Here's a comparison. Here's Magneto. He's looking kind of old, but still super badass. Really cool. Now let's see. Let me kind of compare Magneto here. Let's look. So here they have their they have their own. Concord has their own old character, and this is what it looks like. So you can have. Would you like to play with Magneto, cool looking Magneto, old guy, or would you like to play with Duchess, elderly looking Chinese lady that has like 0 arm strength, looks frail as shit, but apparently we're supposed to be convinced that she's super. She's a badass just by looking at her. I mean, can't you tell she's badass just by looking at her like this? Here's Duchess, old. You could play as old Chinese lady. What, she like supposed to be some Tiger Mom or this badass looking dude? Magneto. He's got style, swagger. He's got cool looking armor. I actually really like the sort of art style they went with for these characters. The lines, are sharp. This guy looks like he's about to crush stuff with his magnetism. Or you have this lady, which looks like she's about to lecture you in a Costco about how you took the last I don't even know, last bit of rice, the last 20-pound bag of jasmine rice that she wanted. There we go. But yeah, this is cool. This is what they decided they want for these characters. And if you look at, let me just hide this and let's take a look at these rivals, or not rivals, but this Concord characters. So this is the only white guy in the entire roster, and he looks like a normal guy. He's not particularly muscular. I mean, he's got a nice jawline, but the armor looks kind of lame. It's not very cool, not very tactical. But he's sort of like the generic soldier. And then, of course, we have fat black girl. She, her. She's an anchor. Like, wow. Totally frumpy, round-looking character. Old Chinese lady. If you notice, like, there's 0 cleavage in any of these characters, whether woman or not. You have Daw, fat dude. Not muscular at all. Nothing about him seems threatening or cool. Just like a dumpy looking guy in a trench coat. Wow. And then this is it's becomes really apparent when you look at a character like this, because this could have been like an attractive character design, If you look at this person, which is Roka, but this is intended to be a woman. It's she, her, I assume. But uh, instead of making it sort of like a tight, sort of spacesuit, you have zero cleavage whatsoever, completely flat chested, no real defined hip. They have like this weird, like diaper looking pants instead of like an actual, like, hips that sort of come out. So there's no bit of sexuality at all in this character. It's very asexual. It could really actually be a man under there for all we know. It's just, changed their pronouns. Nothing. And same thing with this. Like this could have been a cute kind of alien girl character design. I guess it's sort of like a cat. If you look, there's like a bit of a tail coming out the back here. And it's supposed to be, could be like, sort of hit the trope of sort of like a playful type of cat girl. But instead, zero cleavage, zero hips. It's just like a straight line if you look at her hips. Let me see if I could put a line here. We'll objectify her in real time. Oops. That's a little bit too wide, I think. How do I put a line here? Guys, I'm good with Photoshop. Don't worry about it, all right? I'm photoshopping. Where does this even go? There we are. So, like, I could just use the ruler. I'm going to choose a ruler. Like, almost like no line here. It's like barely a curve. Nothing accented whatsoever. It's just uninteresting. Totally uninteresting. And then, of course, Scott, this was just, or they just decided to throw aesthetics out and let's just make the wackiest, crazy, which is fine if you want to make like a joke-looking character, just a really weird character. Now, that could have potential, but why, when you have no other characters that are interesting as well, this just looks ugly. A complete rejection of aesthetics. No cleavage. They're completely allergic to cleavage in, I guess, in the West, which is ironic because, or ironic, I don't even know if that's the right word I want to use, but when you look at, this is made by a Chinese company, so they also like really hate having any open cleavage exposed, like the skin. So like you'll see like in pretty much every character except maybe Storm, there's a little bit of skin showing. Well, you'll notice like in any other female characters, they gotta have like a suit over it, something, to not. I got this line. But look, they actually have hips. At least in the Marvel characters, they actually have defined hips, defined cleavage. The men themselves look like men, like they've been, the torso's been accented, like the wide shoulders. They look like badasses. Meanwhile, I mean, even guys like Strange, again, you still have that nice, oh, look at, man. You have like, like, look, it's like, oh, let me get, can I? It's like, look at that line right there. Boop, boop. You got a line to define it. You got that taper, that trapezoid. That, men have. Penny, cute. Again, you got the hips. Look, got the curve here. They don't have the curve in the. You look at Daw here. Right, not Daw. Where is it? Like, look, you got this. This is the curve you have for her. It's like in a similar like position. Like you have a little bit there. I don't know if does that stand up. Would white stand up better? Let's see, yellow. Yellow. Oop. Got a little bit of a curve, but nowhere near what Penny's got here. Penny has the far more accented curve here on the hips. It's like practically like a greater than symbol. Like boom, boom. Again, it has the hourglass that they just remove. I might be going a little bit into the weeds here, I think. But this is just to give you an example of just how different they decided to make the characters, because it makes a difference in just how interesting they end up being. But this will be a disaster. And of course, let's just end it. This is what they're doing with First Descendant here. This is what, hey, this is our skins. Why don't you come play our game? Again, like, look at the hourglass figure. I don't know what the shining light on her crotch is, but I'm cool, I guess. This is, I guess, Vambi, giant, lush lips. They just turn the sexuality up to like 10 here. Glowing, everything's so shiny. And, sort of candy apple red here. Hey, how's it going? I wonder why they're getting 100K players. I really wonder. Here's, July 21st, first update, and this is what you'll have for it. So they're keeping their people interested with eye candy like this. First Descendant, huh? Korean development studio. But it's not just Western developers that are afraid of cleavage. It's Japanese developers too, unfortunately. But give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a drink. So this was posted by Capcom in SNK versus Capcom SVC Chaos. Actually, is it Capcom that's developing it? I'm not sure. It might be an SNK. But people were upset because of this warning here, and I'll read it for you in case you're listening in. This product aims to faithfully recreate the content of the original game at the time of release in 2003 as much as possible. Therefore, the content of this game does not represent the ideals of our company, but is provided as is, respecting the original intent of the game, and is not intended to promote or attack any particular ideology or group. So people annoyed or upset by this disclaimer, which has become common in a lot of games, like, we're not going to come out with a new game. We're going to rely on our old IP. We're going to remaster it. We're going to resell it and repackage it and charge you like $60 for it. And on the same time, that old game that you liked, we're going to put in a warning that says, we're kind of grossed out about this game now. This game just doesn't really represent us anymore, but we're totally fine. We're totally fine with, bleeding you out for more money while at the same time being embarrassed by this game too. We're embarrassed by some of the parts. Some of these parts are kind of gross. You know what? Hey, still play $60 for it, please. We're not, grossed out enough to charge you an exorbitant amount for a remaster that we barely did any work on. Enjoy. Have fun. I wonder why people are upset about this crap like this, whether it's this or Tomb Raider or anything like that. Who knows what particular ideology it's attacking? Nobody really knows. But there was also a little incident. If you look here, you can see this doesn't really look, like anything. What's wrong with it? Then you look at the other version of it. This is the Japanese poster for it. You might notice it's been kind of cropped a little bit to crop out. I don't know. Was the devil? I forget what that devil's name is. Shoot, what is his name? I forget. Maybe Chaos. Was it Chaos? Maybe it was his abs. Maybe that was too much for the set. Oh wait, it's this girl in the swimsuit. I don't know if that's Athena or who. I have no idea who that is. But she looks pretty nice. But I guess it's a little bit too much for English speakers here. English version cropped out the girl with the tits. But Japanese, A-okay. That's fine. Why not? And you may not have noticed, but my poor my always seems to really trigger people in the West. I guess these Western creatives, they just cannot stand the side boob here. The amount of cleavage that she's showing off, they got to cover her up. My, you look too cold. Let me let's kind of close that a bit. My, we can't handle such things. It's already just people annoyed by the censorship. With SNK here, not making a lot of friends among the gaming community. But who knows? I never followed SNK, but this is again just another example of we hate cleavage, we hate women showing. There's something about showing skin that I don't get. Like, this is the West. I thought maybe we don't like that stuff. Maybe we seem to be more and more like China, as far as what we the amount of skin and cleavage we're allowed to show. It's almost like maybe it's Western developers and communist China share some sort of ideology. I don't know. Maybe there's something related to communists and Western liberal creatives. There might be a link there. I'll have to think about that more. Might be some sort of common thread. We'll have to think about that. But let's move on. Speaking of fighting games, Evo happened, and there was some sort of fun at Evo. People trying to compare this to like an Evo moment. Who knows? Hugo being played by Hayo. I don't know what Frankie BFG. Oh, a crazy parry, and then goes over it. And people are really liking this Hayo guy. He plays a Grappler, which is always... People always like to root for it because they're technically weak. And then he's really enjoying himself. And people really enjoy that too. Going crazy. Popping off.
He is a showman. But Jesus Christ, what a freaking play. Third strike, everybody.
And it's kind of weird to see. I don't know if maybe weird's not the right word, but when like the Japanese guy pops off, he comes off. It's kind of like a goofy, just having fun. It seems really different from the Western type of pop-offs, which seem a lot more aggressive. I don't know, like dominant. Like it's like trash talking. This guy just seems like he's enjoying himself. I don't know. I'm like, this is sort of in more clips. Hayo really seemed to capture a lot of the interest of the fans. He's doing these goofy dances. mugging for the camera. Doing a little showmanship when he wins. I don't know why he sits like that. Maybe that's a Japanese thing. Does the split. Yikes. That's some flexibility there. I hope I don't get. I'll probably get a copyright strike for that. Whatever Eminem crappy song is playing in the background. The split, just a kind of weird, just a very bizarre guy playing in like an off meta character. Really enjoying himself. He didn't end up winning the thing, but definitely kind of captured the internet with that pose. Look at that. At least he's fit. Goddamn. Well, skinny. I guess you could call that fit in a way, comparatively to American players. Good for him. He was having fun. He was having a blast. You know who else was having a blast? These ladies here. These baddies. She's a baddie and her baddie friends. Let me see. Can I insert a poll? I don't know. Let's see. No. Engage with my audience here. Let's start a poll. Let's see. How many of these women have an OnlyFans? Option. How many options can I have? Let's see. One. Let's assume that'll be two. Three. There's 5 women here. 4. Add an option 5. Let's start this poll. This is the audience participation part of it. How many of these women haven't in this picture have an OnlyFans? Do you think it's 3, 4, or 5 of these women have an OnlyFans? Because Amy, because here they are using sort of Evo as a backdrop for this picture. And back in the day, back when I was a young man in college, playing video games, at the video game club at my local college, you always dreamed like, wow, what if someday cute girls would show up to the video game club? Like these sort of slice of life animes that where like, oh, he's a nerdy guy, and then all of a sudden like 5 cute girls show up. It's super popular trope. I guess it's every young man's dream that cute girls will show up at the club and be really impressed with how good you are at playing video games. The sort of green text like, hey, Anon, I noticed how good you were at video games. That's really cool. And finally after 20 years, cute girls have started showing up at video game events. But like the sort of wish that that happens, like when you wish on the monkey's paw, a curse comes with it. A curse comes with that. Yes, they're all cute girls, but it turns out they're all whores as well. Damn. And they're not really interested in video games at all. They're just promoting their OnlyFans. So we'll end the poll here. Guys, for the people that voted for 5, as in all of them have an OnlyFans, you're right. Congratulations. You've solved the riddle. Every single one of these girls has an OF. At least, the ones that I've checked on their profiles. They'll have a link tree that ends up going to OnlyFans or some other form of actually one of them, maybe I'm wrong. One of them doesn't have an OnlyFans, and it's a different porn site, like a Fansly. But you know what I'm saying. You know what we're saying. Every single one of these girls is here to sell themselves as a product. I don't think they give a damn about video games. Hey, you got it, Deborah. Every single one. I don't know if the tattoos and the scantily dress, these baddies are here to promote themselves. It's not, women, these women are not really interested in video games. And this has actually been a problem for quite a while now. And I do remember there was a time when a guy called, I believe it was Long Island Joe, received a sponsorship from Brazzers, which is a porn site, if you're not familiar with that. And people actually shut that down. They weren't okay with it. Like, we don't want a guy with a Brazzers shirt, playing in a tournament, where you can see it. Sort of association with that brand would be bad for the fighting game community. And it's so bizarre to kind of see this now and be like, now we just have, instead of just Brazzers, we just have these girls, Evo in the background doing a pose. You have them all over Twitch, even sometimes, being part of like tournament commentary and that kind of thing. This is totally okay, I guess. Totally okay to sort of use this to promote your own, I guess, personal porn site, porn content creation. That's fine. But if an actual player wants to put Pornhub on his shirt and receive money for actually playing and creating the content that keeps this going, that's bad. That's bad. It's kind of weird. Just something I noticed, and I don't know if it's really a good thing, because unfortunately people listen to they especially I think on Twitch, a lot of these women have an outsized influence on some of the community, and it's never, and like when they get involved, it's never good for men. They're never making the thing better for men. It's not like they'll make the community more. They're not bringing in women that like nerdy guys. It just isn't how it works. So it just ends up being a net negative overall when you allow these in. Women like this in. I'll have to think about that more, because I think there is something destructive going on by allowing OnlyFans girls to show up, or these, because at the same time it's really hard, since they're individuals rather than a company, to go after them, because nobody wants to sort of go after a woman for their behavior. It just doesn't seem to work that way. But we'll see what happens, how this kind of plays out, because it's not a good thing, but at the same time I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Last thing I'm going to cover, and I've covered it before, but this still really gets my interest. Seeing more and more of this player's handbook just really, really gets me going. So this is a Scratchpoint Twitter. He mentioned this: modern Dungeons & Dragons is merely a shell of its former self. The differences between fantasy races have basically been reduced to appearance. Part of the fun playing various demi-humans and humanoids were the combinations of the strengths and weaknesses that made them unique. One of their favorite terms, diversity, means differences are skin deep, but everyone has the same capabilities and beliefs. Weaknesses can't be allowed lest someone feel inferior. The ridiculous nature of this nonsensical worldview is made even more apparent when applied to fantasy races whose differences are leagues beyond those of humans in reality. Wizards of the Coast has taken a game full of variety and turned it into a blob of uniform slop to match the delusional state of the current zeitgeist. They have sanitized language, used safe fantasy art, watered down creativity, and ruined one of the most inspirational games ever created to pledge fealty to the false deity of modern sensibilities. So let's look at this. This is I believe from the Player's 5 Handbook, or maybe it's just online, but this kind of gives you an insight to the modern game design of Dungeons and Dragons. They're probably like creatives in general in the Western world. So let me read for you. The more familiar options have also been tweaked, with an emphasis on removing weaknesses. It's always been a bit of an oddity, and presumably a leftover from editions with a different design philosophy, that some species had glaring restrictions while others did not. The Dark Elf Sunlight Sensitivity, which was a hassle when I played one, is simply gone, like it was for the Drow player characters in Boulder Gates 3, which is a video game. Great. We're using the video game to make design choices in the tabletop. The reduced speed of gnomes and halflings is gone too. Both now have a speed of 30 feet per round, like most species. Gnomes and halflings, of course, are much shorter, so the idea that they'd have, less movement speed made physical sense. But this is really interesting to see, because the idea of removing weaknesses is, personally, I think, really stupid. The idea that, like half-orcs had less intelligence, like -2 intelligence, like +2 strength, if I'm remembering it right. I haven't played since 3.5. But, like if you wanted to make a smart half-orc, you had to work for it. You had to be creative. And doing so, maybe not, it wouldn't be like the best, like in terms of like if you wanted to really min-max, which, no one liked those min-maxing people anyway. That's a weird thing. Like in a video game, min-maxing is always the best. The meta will get you the win. And it kind of does in the tabletop too. But the whole thing with the tabletop is that you're playing with other people. You're not necessarily just playing the game on your own. So it tend to be like guys that min-maxed, like I forget, there was like a name for them. I can't remember. I don't think they were Timmy's. It was something else. But, it's the guys that do that stuff were usually disliked because their characters made no sense. Like, I liked him. He was a friend of mine, but this guy was playing like an owl. I think it was an owl bear ranger with like a spiked chains as weapons. Like, it was like totally min-maxed. And that was just what he did. Like, he did the most damage out of anybody, but like people are like, who cares? Like, we're trying to have fun playing the game. Yeah, you want to win, but that's not what it's about. It's about having fun with friends. So trying to make the absolute best character possible isn't necessarily the best idea. It's about making interesting characters. And back to like the weaknesses thing, that was part of like what made the characters interesting. Like, if you wanted to make like the super like intelligent orc, it was different. The half orc was different because he had to work for it. He had to put points somewhere, and it was weird. It was weird to see, and you understood that because orcs were naturally dumber than other races. Like making a fast halfling, that'd be kind of like fun. It'd be look different because their base speed is normally lower because they're smaller. That'd be interesting. But let me read the second part too, because they go into more of this. So this is the second part. As previously announced, the 2024 rules won't tie ability scores to species. Instead, they'll be modified based on your chosen background. And this is so telling right here. A function of nurture rather than nature. So nurture, yeah, it's nurture, not nature that's important. This is just such... Right here is postmodern communist bullshit, if you ever heard it. This makes background more important to character creation as part of your character's history, where they hone their skills and abilities. The way ability score adjustments work from 2024 backgrounds is that each background has 3 ability scores tied to it. You choose to add +2 to those ability scores and then +1 to another, blah, blah, blah. For example, farmer background gives you strength, constitution, and wisdom to choose from. The wayfarer background gives you dexterity, wisdom, and charisma. So nothing related to your race at all. If you're 5 foot, if you're 7 foot, you can move just as fast. That doesn't matter. If you're, a giant orc or a little halfling, your strength is the same no matter what. And it just makes the idea itself just makes the game less interesting. Like, it's just all about your background. Yeah, exactly. If you train enough, anybody can be a basketball player. A woman can be a man, it doesn't matter. This is such crap ideology that's seeping into the game, and this is just a perfect example of it. And just look at the artwork too. The artwork always gets me. I'd like to imagine, this artwork, all these people like cheering, different color, different races. I assume they're looking at a white person being hung, and like they're cheering for it. Yay! The white man's dead. This is what I assume they're cheering at, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's just a race. It kind of looks like it might be a race or some sort of jousting contest, but at the same time, I like to think that it's a white guy being hung or like having his head cut off in a guillotine, and all these people are just sort of cheering for it. Yes, the white race is dead. And then of course you have every single these are like a different race of people. Are they supposed to be drow or merfolk? Who knows? But that guy, is that guy a slave? No, I don't think I put that. Every single person has a different skin color, yellow, bluish, gray. Like, what the hell's going on? This doesn't look like any sort of place in time. It's just everybody's just a collective of different colors. It's like Rainbow Land, where everyone looks different. It's outrageous. It just to see such a good IP with a ton of history, a ton of people working behind it being turned to complete slop. It's sad. But hate to end it on that note, but there's just something about it just really gets to me. I'll have to think about better ways to express it, but this doesn't look like any place that I'd want to go. It's just so generic and so boring. Just doesn't fill you with fantasy. You need those weaknesses to actually make characters interesting. You have to have flaws and strengths. And removing flaws, it just perfect. It's a perfect illustration of this modern. I don't even want to say leftist, but it's. Don't have a better word for it. You have to make people have flaws and weaknesses. What makes characters interesting is that they have stuff they need to overcome, or stuff that they accomplish stuff in spite of their weaknesses and flaws and character flaws. It's like nothing. We can't make anybody feel bad for anything, and in the end, that doesn't make for a good character. Unlike, of course, I guess you just can't have that shown up in any sort of stats, and that's the idea. The game had weaknesses to kind of show you that, give you a template to do that in the game. It helped you with that, and then you playing around it, or you just embracing it, like making the dumbest, maybe make the dumbest orc possible that's super strong, and he's sort of like retarded, like, I smash, yeah, and that was a fun character. Or he made like a super intelligent orc, like, no, I'm not like those other orcs. I'm small, very small, and that was an interesting character. But now you don't even have that to help guide you, and the game is worse for it. But guys, another hour has flown by. Thank you all for joining me. Please please subscribe. I'll try and get more clips out now. I haven't been doing that in a few weeks, but I will do it this week, I guarantee you. So look out for the clips. If you haven't watched the whole thing, you can kind of catch parts of it. Let me go to the edit here, and let's find post 0 to redirect to. If I can find it. Who's hosting post 0? I need to actually look in the chat here. Off screen. Yay. Maybe this is a Kamala Harris rally. Yay, Kamala. They've all been paid to stand here and pretend like they enjoy it. Let's see. Messenger. Who's hosting post 0? Is it you, Jack? Kyler. Oh shit! Do I have Kyler here? I think I'm sub to him. Let's see. 1 minute, folks. I'm following him on thing, but let's see. Maybe I need to follow him. Maybe I don't have him. Am I not sub to him? Uh-oh. Let me subscribe right away. We got to fix that. We're getting it, guys. But I'll be on there later. The topic is should. The only thing you should do is subscribe to me and the channels I redirect to. That's the only thing you should do, because that's guaranteed good. All right, there we go. Save. Goodbye, everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll catch you all next time.